Okay, so I was not expecting this when I started researching, because on the surface, this heist was basically perfect. The planning was meticulous, the execution was clean. The people involved were, by every reasonable measure, extremely smart. And for a while, a genuinely impressive while, it worked. Nobody caught them. Nobody even suspected them. The investigators were looking in completely the wrong direction. And then, one tiny detail blew the whole thing apart. Not a witness, not a confession, not a surveillance camera they forgot to check. Something so small, so almost embarrassing in its specificity, that when I read it the first time, I actually laughed. And then I felt bad for laughing, because the more I sat with it, the more I understood what it actually cost the people involved. So here is what happened. The year is 1983. The place is Bologna, Italy, and a group of men have spent the better part of 2 years working toward a single goal: the Credito Emiliano Bank Vault. Wait, I need to back up slightly. This was not a smash and grab situation. This was not desperation or improvisation. The men behind this heist were organized, methodical, and genuinely patient in a way that most people simply are not. 2 of them had been casing the bank on and off for over 18 months. They knew the guard rotation. They knew which entrance was quietest on a Sunday. They knew the vault was on a 48-hour time lock, and they had built their entire timeline around that one mechanical fact. The plan was to enter through the building adjacent to the bank, rent a ground floor commercial space there, which they did, posing as a small printing business, then tunnel laterally through the shared foundation wall directly into the vault room. No alarms, no confrontation, no witnesses. And I want you to understand, that part worked completely. They spent 11 weekends on that tunnel. 11. Removing rubble bag by bag, timing their work around noise from the street above so nobody heard the drilling. The printing business cover was functional enough that 2 legitimate clients actually used them during that period, which is somehow the funniest and most stressful detail I have ever encountered. They got through the wall. They bypassed the inner vault door using a thermal lance, a tool that burns hot enough to cut through reinforced steel like it is warm butter. They were inside the vault by 2 in the morning on a Sunday in March. The haul was extraordinary. Cash, obviously, but also safety deposit boxes, jewellery, documents, bearer bonds, personal items, contents that would never be officially reported by their owners, for reasons the owners preferred not to explain to police. Conservative estimates put the total somewhere between 40 and 60 million lire. Adjusted forward, that is a genuinely life-changing sum for 4 men to split. They were out before dawn. The vault discovery was not made until Monday morning. By that point, the crew had been in their respective homes for over 30 hours. The investigation that followed was, by police accounts, almost immediately cold. Here is where I need you to sit with me for a second, because 6 weeks later, one of the men went to buy a coffee. This is not a metaphor. He walked into a bar 3 neighbourhoods away from the bank, ordered an espresso, and paid with a banknote that had been inside one of the safety deposit boxes. The banknote was traceable, not because it was marked by police, not because it was part of a die pack or a sequenced serial number sweep. It was traceable because the box's original owner, a man with his own complicated reasons for keeping cash in an anonymous vault, had written a small notation in pencil in the corner of the bill. A personal accounting system, completely private, never reported to anyone. The bar owner had no idea. The coffee buyer had no idea that particular bill was notable. But the original owner recognized it when it came back to him through entirely unrelated business dealings 3 weeks after that. Recognized his own handwriting, in pencil, in the corner, on a bill he had not seen since before the heist. He went to the police, and the whole thing unravelled in about 10 days. This is the part where my tone shifts a little, because once the arrest came, the picture that emerged was not a clean crime thriller story. 2 of the 4 men had families. One of them had a daughter who was 6. The tunnel alone had taken a recognisable physical toll. One investigator noted that the man's hands showed evidence of repetitive stress injury consistent with months of manual labour. These were not masterminds operating from a place of glamour. They were people who had convinced themselves that the careful, patient, invisible approach meant they had thought of everything, and they had thought of almost everything. Almost. The thing they could not account for was a stranger's private notation system on a piece of paper they had never seen and would never have known to look for. The sentence handed down for the ringleader was 9 years. He served 6. What this heist actually shows is not that the plan was flawed. It was genuinely exceptional in almost every dimension. What it shows is that there is always an unknown variable, not an overlooked one, an unknowable one. The detail that undid 4 years of careful work was invisible to everyone, including the person who wrote it. That is not a lesson about planning better. That is a lesson about the limits of what planning can protect you from. So, over to you. If you had been one of the 4 and you found out it was a pencil notation on a single banknote that ended it, not a mistake you made, just a detail that existed in the world without your knowledge, do you think you could make peace with that, or would that particular kind of bad luck follow you forever? Tell us in the comments. Genuinely curious where people land on this one. And honestly, if your brain is doing what mine was doing the whole time I researched this, subscribe to Twisted History. I promise you, this is nowhere near the strangest one I've found.